everybody? Welcome to Capital of Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch, and today we're going to talk about tonight's UFC fight night that's happening on ESPN Plus, with the main event being Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley in a welterweight tilt to get themselves closer towards their next title shot. Both guys have gotten a glimpse of UFC gold, Tyron being a long-time title holder, Colby being an interim champ in Tyron's absence. Now that belt's being held by Kamaru Usman, who beat both of them. So, on this card, we got Kevin Holland versus Darren Stewart. I'm not too familiar with those guys, but I'm still going to be watching so I can get familiar with them. Mackenzie Dern versus Randa Marcos. I am familiar with those two ladies. That should be a really good fight. Mackenzie Dern, long-time, multiple world champion in jiu-jitsu. Randa Marcos was one of the initial ladies on the Ultimate Fighter for the strawweight division. Very scrappy young lady. I think her stand-up is a little bit better than Mackenzie's, which may carry her. And she also has pretty good defense on the ground, so I think that she will be able to keep Dern from submitting her if they do go to the ground. So that should be a good fight to see if that plays out that way. The next one is really good. Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann. Both of these guys have amazing knockouts. They really go for it. And this one has all the potential to be a barn burner or a very quick, spectacular knockout like we saw with Ngannou and Rosenstruck. Like, it's one of those fights, or it could end up like Ngannou and Derek Lewis, where it was like terrible. It's usually one or the other. It's not really an in-between when you have those type of fighters get together. It's either a knockdown, drag-out, epic fight, or it's a stinker. Don't know how that works, but that's how it goes. We got two more fights. You got Shamaya versus Gerald Misgrace. I know I killed that name, but Shamaya has been on a tear, and so much so that the UFC has booked his next fight already, and that's something that you usually do not see in mixed martial arts. Somebody having a fight booked with one fight already taking place. They usually wait until afterwards. Usually in boxing they kind of do that every now and then, but usually with the bigger names, like, hey, you win this fight, you get this guy. They're doing that with him because they see a lot of potential in him. He draws a lot of comparisons to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and they're from the same country, very similar styles, but this guy's a little bit bigger. He's fighting at middleweight, yeah. And then the co-main event, which we got Donald Cerrone versus Niko Price. Another really good matchup. Cerrone, who's lost his last 4 fights, but lost his last 4 fights to like the best guys in the sport. Niko Price is not up there with them, but this is his chance to take that step into that. So we're going to see how that turns out. Given that Cowboy is really up and down at welterweight, I'm going with Price. But you can never count Cowboy out. He's the winningest guy in UFC history. He is, I think, tied for the most fights. The guy's a workhorse. He's a fan-friendly fighter, and you hope for the best. But the cards are looking towards Niko Price pulling this one out. So let's get into the main event. Colby Covington, coming off his loss to Kamaru Usman, changing camps, and now trying to get back into the title picture, going against Tyron Woodley, the former longtime champ, who is on a skid himself, coming off a loss to Gilbert Burns in a really tough one too. There really wasn't a time that he was really in that fight. And the same thing with Kamaru Usman. We had 2 straight fights where Woodley just did not look like he was the same guy that we saw, starching Josh Koscheck, winning the belt by great knockout. The guy that, shocked the world against Darren Till. Well, not really shocked the world, but, kind of stopped that train. I wouldn't say hype train, because Darren Till is a really good fighter. And that word kind of has negative connotations. So the guy who stopped every single Damian Maia takedown, Tyron Woodley, has the highest takedown defense percentage in the welterweight division. And I think in the history of the welterweight division, at 91.1 or something crazy like that. I know it's above 90% takedown stoppage. They don't get the takedown on him. Takedown defense, stellar. Covington is somebody who throws a lot of strikes and mix them in with his takedowns to match when he's going for them. So you would expect someone like that to have success. Based on that, we've seen his cardio. We know when you talk about Covington, you also have to talk about the antics, and not many people like that. It does come off really fake. It comes off super forced. A lot of people call it what was the word, cringe-worthy, and all that. I agree with it, especially the heel that he has attached himself to is just, it's not good. So you get a lot of people that root for whoever he's fighting. However, they forget that the guy can actually fight. He may not have a lot of power, but he throws enough on it to make you think about what he's doing to then get his takedowns. And we've seen from Burns, we've seen from Usman, we've seen from even some other fights, like, you got the Wonder Boy fight that was really close for Woodley, where he's just waiting and waiting and waiting, and it never actually materializes for the windows for his punches. I think there'll be windows with Colby. One, because Tyron won't really fear the power of him, like maybe like with Burns, where he gets dropped early and it's like, oh, I got to be careful. And then this guy's really strong, great grappler. I'm in a tough spot here. With Colby, he may not feel the same way. And then you have the animosity between the two, where Covington has called him out consistently for years. And them being former training partners at American Top Team, there's some type of history there. So both guys may be going in there with a little bit of emotion. We thought the same thing with Kamaru and Covington, and that may have been why that fight played out the way it did, with them wanting to just get up there and slug it out with each other. I think based on the outcome of that fight, Covington goes back to his wheelhouse of mixing in his striking and takedown attempts and just swarming Woodley, because the longer he stays on his feet, the more chances he gives Woodley to land his dynamite right hand. And he doesn't want that, especially having his jaw broken in his last fight. That may not be something he wants to feel on his chin. So I see Colby going in there, laying the pressure on Woodley, turning on as soon as the fight starts, not stopping at all, and this being one of those dominant performances, because Woodley says he's motivated and all that, but then once it shows up in the octagon, it just is not, it's not showing up the way it used to, and it's been looking pretty bad for him. He looked really disinterested against Kamaru Usman. He came out against Burns looking a little more motivated. Burns took that right out of him, and it was right back to the same guy we saw against Kamaru Usman, just trying to survive and not be stopped. And I think, unfortunately, we see that Woodley again. Now, the human person, the fan in me, is going to root for him because, like I said, the whole outside the ring persona and all that stuff for Covington is not something I want to be aligned with. But when we match skill for skill and going off of what we've seen from both guys lately, it's kind of hard to pick Woodley. And I even looked at other people's videos to see what they thought, and I really didn't see anybody that said anything differently than what I said. Like, mostly everybody expects Covington to win this fight, unfortunately. And the few people I saw that did go with Tyron was basically off of, I don't like Colby, so I'm going to root for Woodley. They didn't say, I think he's going to win because of this. They're like, I don't like Covington, I'm going with Woodley. So like I said, skill for skill and skill matchup style clash wise, this favors Covington. So I want you all to let me know what you think. Hit us up in the comment section below. If you haven't done so, make sure you check out Rob's video preview of the Terrell Gausha and Erickson Lubin fight that's also going down tonight. That's going to be on the channel. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit the bell icon so you can rap with Rob and I and get some of the older content that we've seen as well. Hit us up in social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, CapitalofCombat. Like I said, you can message us on any of those if you guys have any questions, things you want us to talk about. Hit us up and let us know, and we'll make a video for that too. So until next time, fight on.
Round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
The Black Street Fighter.